All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming to our first critical conversation of the new academic year. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Beth Gendro Noel. I'm the Director of Communications and Creative Services here, and I am the de facto moderator for these conversations. Today I have Caitlin Buckley from my team who will be assisting. And just as a reminder for all of you, during the presentation, we're going to disable the chat so that everyone can focus on the information that's being shared. Once our NECHE speakers and once Phil have finished covering what they want to cover, we can open the chat and you can begin to use that to ask questions. Of course, we would also welcome for you to raise your hand, either your real hand or an emoji, and let us know that you want to ask your question yourself. That's always preferred. So before I pass it over to Phil, I just want to remind you all that this is being recorded. And Phil, take it away. First critical conversation of the academic year.
I know. Woohoo. Hey, thanks, Beth. Really appreciate it. Not like we haven't been busy enough, but I thank you all for taking the time. There's 120 of us with us today, so thank you for carving time out of your day. We're going to cover a couple of topics today that are incredibly important to the institution. I guess that's why we call them critical conversations. We're going to celebrate and hear about our preparation for every decade this event, which is really when we write our self-study. It's this big, beautiful, big document that's like 300 pounds. I don't know, it feels like it's 300 pounds, but that's the hard copy. You might have seen a note from me sending you the digital copy so that you have access to the entire report, including all the appendices, which is why, even though it is required to be a 100-page document, it actually is a lot more than that for our visiting team. That's gone off to our visiting team, and we're really excited for that site visit. For those of you who are unfamiliar with why we go through this process, to be accredited by the New England Commission for Higher Education, that allows us as an institution to have full accreditation and to be able to offer federal financial aid. And I'm sure you've all been paying attention to the fact that federal financial aid is critical for our students now more than ever before because of free community college, mass transfer, mass reconnect, and mass educate. So financial aid is, in fact, more important than ever before for all of our students to be able to be part of those programs. So today we're going to first start with a presentation about NECHE and how you can be best prepared. I'm going to make a couple of suggestions myself. I've got my pin on today that has the strategic plan. I've got my mug that has the 4 pillars of the plan. So we'll keep pointing that out to you so that when our visitors are here, they know that you are fully engaged. So at this point, I'll turn it over to the dynamic trio of Professor Linda Dartkavios and Provost Arlene Rodriguez and Associate Provost Matthew Olson, who have done yeoman's work in getting this report to where it is. And I commend them for all of that work. And we'll celebrate after the visit is over. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to them to tell you how you can all get ready for this critical event that's about to happen in a couple of weeks. So take it away.
Thank you, Phil. I know that everyone's here because they said, yay, another presentation about NECHE from Linda. So thank you all for being here for that. So I'm going to try to mix it up a little bit. So let me share my screen from beginning. Come on, slideshow, start. There we go. Can everybody see that okay? All right, so the top 10 things you need to know about NECHE. Now, before I get into that, I do want to talk a little bit about NECHE in terms of, it started off very calm. If you remember, we started off back in 2022. We can remember that far back. And at that time, there were signs that we were getting ready for NECHE. We started to have teams of people get together and look at the standards. We kind of asked very politely for your syllabi. And we are about to enter October. And I just want to let you know that Arlene, Matthew, and my stress is at an all-time high. For my math people that are here, we have this exponential function. I think I'm already at infinity, but I think I will be there for a while, even after they're gone. So I just need a little grace from all of you after they leave, just to come down off of the stress. So here is my apology if I'm curt or forward with anybody. I'm under a little stress. I hope that covers me for the next couple of months. And so I'm going to go forward. Arlene and Matthew, did you have anything you wanted to add before I move on? Okay, great. So I'm going to date myself and talk about David Letterman. How many people remember David Letterman used to do the top 10? All right, so we're going to do that for NECHE. So the top 10 things you need to know about NECHE. So starting off with number 10, it is not a fancy cheese. It stands for the New England Commission of Higher Education. So that's very important. We love to talk in acronyms around here. So it's important that we all understand that that's what that stands for. Number 9. So NECHE doesn't rank colleges, it accredits them. And so as Phil mentioned, that it's really important that we have this accreditation so that our students can transfer to other universities. Our credits mean something. And then for financial aids. We don't get any gold stars for it. We just say we're accredited. So number 8. If you're not accredited, it's like going to a party without an invitation. You might not be recognized. So there we have again, here we are. So if a student wants to transfer and they say, oh, where did you transfer from? Oh, Middlesex. I don't know who they are because they're not accredited. We don't want that to happen, and that will not happen. All right, number 7. And then we'll discuss some of these after we get done. But certainly if you have any questions as I go through, please feel free to jump right in or raise your hand. Beth can tell me if there's somebody has their hand raised. Okay, number 7, NECHE is like that strict teacher, but they're very fair. So it comes and conducts regular reviews to make sure that we're staying on track. We're doing what we say. So they're not going to tell us that that's not the right thing to do there, but they will say, geez, you're telling us that you're measuring student learning outcomes. Where is it that you're measuring those? Okay, so they will be fair, but they are strict in terms of looking at those standards. Number 6, NECHE's process isn't a one size fits all. These standards are used across all types of institutions, from our community college to Ivy League. So they look at and they see, how does the standard work for us in this environment and our community college here. Number 5, our students are not going to see NECHE on their transcript, but certainly it's a stamp of approval that their degree holds some value. And again, I can't emphasize enough that that's so important for our students as they transfer to their four-year institutions. All right, number 4, NECHE loves feedback. I think this is why we have to go through it every 5 years. So if you think about the cycle, we do a self-study every 10 years, but in between that, there's an interim report. And so when the NECHE committee comes to see us and they look and they come up with some comments and some suggestions, it will be those suggestions that we have to report on later on in our 5-year visit. Just so that you know, I will not be here in 5 years. So somebody has to step up. So just start thinking about that right now. Okay, number 3, NECHE standards, as you know, there are 9 of them, cover everything from our academic programs to all the support and institutional resources that we offer our students. So everywhere that, it's everywhere, because everything affects how our students do here at the college. So we shouldn't ever hear anybody say, geez, NECHE doesn't really pertain to us. It pertains to all of us. Number 2, the accreditation is cyclical. So kind of what I was saying before, that it happens every 10 years. And so it's not a matter of, let's just get it done, it's going to be fast. It's more of a marathon, right? We look at everything, we make decisions based on the information that they, or the data they give us back. And the nice thing is that the team that's coming to see us are people like our peers from other institutions. So they are very well aware of how the systems work in higher ed and, students in that regard. So that's really nice. And all right, I wish I had drum roll, but here's my drum roll. There we go. And the number one fact that we need to know about NECHE is that without it, we would be like a show without a stage, missing our structure to stand tall in higher ed. So it's something that we really need, again, for that financial aid, for that transferability of our students' credits. And so it's very important. Now, mind you, NECHE is not going to tell us what's going to be what we have to do to be a quality institution, but they will say, you said you did this. And so if that's true, how are you measuring it? How are you showing you're meeting it? What are your standards in this regard? What are your plans to go? And so with that, I would like to open it up for comments from my co-chairs, and then any questions people might have.
So if I can jump in, Linda.
Please.
So we're going to have the visit coming, so that we've written the self-study, as Linda has talked about, over a couple of years, with the participation of 75 or so people just gathering the data, but really like hundreds if you count all the opportunities we provided for feedback. And this is going to culminate in the visit in 2 weeks. And so what really is important is that you make yourself available, because the visitors see themselves as the eyes and ears of the commission. They're looking to validate what was in our self-study. So the opportunities you have in the open forums that we've set up for faculty and for staff to go in, that's really important as they start to kind of to check on the ground if the things that we wrote in the self-study are accurate, and find evidence to verify that. So if you're able to get to those, that's really important. Also, as they try to verify pieces of information, they're going to look at the literally hundreds of documents we put together in their workroom, but they may want something we haven't anticipated. So having people available for quick conversations, to show them documents, to just verify certain facts, is going to be really important. So we really need everyone to make themselves as available as possible on those 2.5 days of the accreditation visit.
Thank you, Matthew and Linda. Linda, thank you so much. You hit on all the points that are important. And thank you, Matthew, for your feedback on the visit. I really want to stress a couple of things. One is they may ask you about your work area and the mission statement. So please, that's your mug and pin. Please make sure you're able to answer a question like that. We had a small drill session this morning at my team meeting, and it's really easy to forget that we do a lot of work. So please read through the standards, read through your areas. We have done so much, and they will be asking you about that. And it's easy to get a little nervous with a visiting team, but I would say that document, several individuals have said that the report is an excellent document to share and to share new folks who are here, what we do and who we are as a campus, and to remind those who are here the work that you do and how we do it very, very well. As Phil noted, and Linda have noted, it's a visit once every 10 years. And the point of it is to make sure that we really look back and see where we are strong. And NECHE is one of the more, I think, Linda, you said they are colleagues. If there are areas that we need to maybe be a little stronger in, they will point that out and help guide us to that. But I feel we are presenting an extremely strong report. And as Linda noted, we've been working on this for a while, and many of you have been a part of it. Either you were part of the teams, you were part of the groups working on appraisals and projections and descriptions. You read through and offered feedback. All of you have been really engaged in this, and I'm really proud of the report that we submitted and looking forward to the visit in 2 weeks.
And we are working very hard to get the details of the schedule out to everybody. So we've done a little bit of legwork in terms of giving some people some heads up that they definitely want to talk with and speak with. However, we won't have that finalized until the committee itself gives the okay for it. So we've put that all together and sent that to them for their approval. They will be spending Monday, the 7th, October 7th, all in Lowell, and Tuesday, October 8th, that was good, all in Bedford, and then they're back in Lowell on Wednesday for just a half a day. So we'll get out to all of you when we have the open forums. As Arlene mentioned, we'll have an open forum for students, for staff, and for faculty, and there will be a Zoom option for those that need to Zoom in for that. So we do encourage you all to attend that open forum. We will not be present there, so that will just be all the faculty or all the staff with the most of the NECHE committee. They tried to all be there during the open forums, and they will lead and ask the questions.
And I just want to jump in and add, thank you, Linda. Thank you, Matthew. I want to add that if you oversee an office, we've been going to team meetings and being able to share a little more detail about the visit and what you might be asked. There are 9 standards. Each member of the visiting team has been assigned a standard or perhaps 2 standards. If you are an office, let's say, for example, HR, IT, we're going to go visit you. We are more than willing to visit your teams to give them a clearer sense of what a visit would entail, especially if we know that they are going to be visiting you directly. And Linda's come up with some great sample questions. They're not going to ask you what was on page 35 of the report, but they may ask you around a projection that was written into the report. And perhaps a deeper dive into those projections. So please call on us if you want us to visit your team and do a special presentation for your team around the particular standard that addresses the work that your team does. You can reach out to any one of us, Linda, Matthew, or myself.
So now might be a good time that we could take questions from anyone if they have any thoughts or concerns or any curiosities about the visit. Again, we'll get more details about the actual timing. I would let you know that they will arrive on the Sunday and we'll get settled in the afternoon. They will be staying down in Bedford at a hotel very close to our Bedford campus. They will be traveling up to Lowell for a brief reception with our community partners that will be held in the federal building. And then they will travel to the Nesmith House where they will have a dinner with the folks that worked on the standards, the leaders who worked on the standards. And that's really the extent of the beginning social part of it, where they get a chance to get comfortable with folks, get to know folks, and then their schedule is pretty busy from early in the morning until late in the evening on both Monday and Tuesday. And at that point, that's when we've articulated to everyone that on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of that week, that will be an opportunity for us to forego the remote working policy and to make sure that everyone is on campus and available in case they need anyone. And that includes great support from our MCCC leadership and also from our AFSCME leadership that's so important to supporting if there's a document that they're looking for or a question or have some information they'd like from a particular area. You may be asked to drop some things and to attend to their visit. And so it is really, as I said, once every 10 years that we spend time validating the report that we have written. And you'll have opportunities, as folks have said, to participate in open forums. And on Wednesday, they will have an exit interview that will be available in person and on Zoom, I believe, where they will actually tell us, they will have completed an assessment of some strengths and areas that they really would like us to focus on. And that will get reported out. It is not a discussion. It's not a question and answer period like this is. It's a report. And then they will take their boxed lunches and go home. And then in a few weeks, we'll receive a final report based on their findings of the validation of the report that we as a community have written. So opening the floor to take any questions, as Caitlin has identified, you can ask your questions by raising your hand or put it in the chat box, and we'll try and answer questions before we move on to our second topic. Questions about NECHE?
No questions have come into the chat yet.
So maybe I want to, I'm just texting and I don't know if we can share screen. Let me, we'd like to be able to maybe while you're thinking of some questions and formulating them, let you know who the visitors are. They are colleagues from our New England states. I don't know, Beth, if I can share screen. Caitlin and Beth, I don't
I
know if
just gave you permission as a co-host.
Beautiful, thank you. So that you understand who are the individuals coming. And many thanks. Can everyone see that I'm sharing? Matthew, could you give me a thumbs up? All right, perfect. And many thanks to Sherry, who put together a file about each of our visitors so that we understand who they are. So the chair of our visiting committee is Cheryl Devanis. She is the Chief Executive Officer at Connecticut State Community College down in Norwalk. Many of you know that Connecticut was restructured. They have a different level of presidents, but for each of the campuses, they have a CEO, and CEO Devanis will be coming. She is a lawyer by training, and her background is in diversity work and really engaged in equity and diversity. She is chairing. Usually, so a lot of her meetings are going to be with Phil alone. The two of them already have had a meeting. She has visited our campus, picked out which rooms she would like to use as the work rooms. So she will be back and always keeping Phil up to date as to how the visit is going. Dr. Robin Hallowell Griswold is overseeing Standard 3, which is organization and governance. So FSA, some of the union leadership and Board of Trustee leadership will be meeting with her. She's the Vice President for Academic Affairs at Nashua Community College. Ms. Robin Avant this is the big Standard 4 academic program. She's the Dean of Students and Faculty down at Housatonic Community College in Connecticut. Nicole Mace will be reviewing Standard 7 institutional resources. That she is from the Community College of Vermont. She's the Dean of Administration. And Standard 7 covers finances, it covers HR, and it covers IT. So she's already been scheduled to meet with the leadership from each of those areas, Middlesex leadership from each of those areas. Dr. Rebecca Dean will cover Standard 5. She's from the New Hampshire Technical Institute, Concord's Community College. She's the Vice President of Student Success and Enrollment. Dr. Ching Lee Mack will be overseeing Standard 8, Educational Effectiveness, as well as Standard 9, Integrity, Transparency, and Public Disclosure. And she's from the state system, the Connecticut State Community College System, Senior Director of Institutional Research. Dr. Nicholas Gill from the Maine Community College System, Executive Director of Institutional Research, will be focusing on Standard 2, Planning and Evaluation. And Dr. Maria Neiswanger is looking at Standard 6, Teaching, Learning, and Scholarship. And she comes to us from York County Community College, Professor and Chair of Natural Sciences Department, again, a Maine institution. I will stop sharing, but I just want to give you a sense of who's coming. It's very specific instructions that they have to cover the specific standards. And they are coming, as Matthew has noted, to verify what we wrote in our report. So it may be they're meeting with the leadership for each with departments related to each standard, but in the conversation, they may want to speak to other individuals. So if you have any questions about the team, please let us know as well.
And I just wanted to say that if any of the faculty were thinking about getting involved in this as being a co-chair, maybe for the next 5-year report or for the 10-year, I highly recommend it, because I feel like as a faculty member, I've been here for so many years, but I learned so much more about the college just going through this process. And so I thank Arlene for asking me to participate on this. I greatly appreciate it. So I will give you a plug. It is a lot of work. I won't deny that. And yes, my stress is at infinity, but meanwhile, you get to see actually all the wonderful things that your colleagues are doing. And then you start to have this sense of pride. I had it before, but it's even more now in knowing what every kind of aspect of the college does to try to help our students be successful. So there's my plug for someone for the next in the 5-year report, and then for the 10-year report, I highly recommend it.
And I just want to note, thank you, Jenna, for the plug that we will have a NECHE trivia, thanks to Linda, the only person in the world who makes NECHE this much fun, at FSA this Thursday.
So we're happy to take your questions, and we want to see and if you have any questions during the visit, don't hesitate to reach out to these folks or me. We can help in any way. But if I were to tell you the top 3 things that you could really do to be prepared, and that would be, as I said in my letter to all of you, read it. You can put your summer beach read away, right? It's getting cold now, and you can pull out your 100-page digital copy of the NECHE report. I will tell you, it's a really good read, and if you're new to the institution and you want to learn history of this amazing institution and what it's accomplished, what all of you have accomplished over the last 10 years, this is a great roadmap for you. Also talking a lot about what our future plans are, but I think when Linda talks about pride, this is the kind of document that builds pride, because each and every one of you is reflected in that work, each and every area, multiple disciplines, the tremendous initiatives, all of the things that you've been working on for the betterment of our students is all encapsulated in those 100 pages. So you could chunk it out. I read it standard by standard. I want to say for the first time in 36 years in higher education, that I had nothing to do with writing this report. As somebody who's been a provost and a vice president a couple of times over, I was really happy about that. And it was great to read and edit and take a look at the final product and be incredibly proud of all of you and of the work of the institution. What I will tell you is we have big steps to fill in terms of what has happened. Middlesex has always been known as an institution that does incredibly well on its accreditation reports and its visits. Last 10 years ago, and we had, a stellar report. Our 5-year interim report was also stellar. We have done workshops for NECHE on how to write these reports and how to really show others how to demonstrate the data and the story and the narrative. And so you should be incredibly proud of that reputation with our accreditors. And so we're excited about the visit and an opportunity. It's a great opportunity to show off the great work at the institution that all of you have done. So read it would be one thing. Secondly, is really familiarize yourself with the college's mission statement and the strategic plan. And we're gonna spend a few minutes talking about that. But most importantly, to be welcoming and friendly and available for any questions that may come up if you're part of it, or to attend an open forum. And the forum and the visit is about the standards. That's really what they're here. They're here to validate what we have written. There is no gotcha in this process. These are peers who do this work at their own institutions and are coming to validate with their years of expertise in higher ed what we have written about ourselves. And so therefore, they didn't write the report. The standards are they're the same standards that Harvard uses. They're the same standards that are used, across New England. But they are applied differently based on the nature of the institution and how we choose to respond to those standards. But we must respond to each and every one of them. And this report has done a remarkable job of that. So any thoughts, any questions about what I can do, what I need to do? We want you to be as comfortable as possible for these site visitors who are really important to the future of the college and the future of our students accessing higher education through Middlesex.
We did get our first question from STEM faculty for the trio, asking if there's an expectation that the team would be visiting our labs, specifically the biotech labs over in Talbot.
But my answer would be, we have not had that experience ever before. The issue is there's a whole area in the report around facilities. And we've talked a lot about renovations of different areas, including the biotech lab and some of the future areas that we need to renovate and work that we're doing in our master plan, which is referenced predominantly in here. But there would be no particular reason that they would say, oh, well, we need to go see the biotech area, or we need to go see your admissions area. There is no standard that talks about what that facility looks like, because there is no standard, because not every college has a particular biotech program. It does ask questions about general education and academic programs and how we do curriculum, things that are similar across all sectors and across all institutions, but there wouldn't be any call for that. What they're doing is they're, again, validating what we have written about. They may see something like, oh, well, we see that you've got a new way of doing strategic planning. Could you pull together the Strategic Leadership Council? And we'd like to ask them some questions about how it's going in terms of the planning and budgeting. Or we see that there's an effort here that's been made to refresh classrooms. Could you tell us a little bit about how much you've spent and what you've done to be able to do that? And they may want to meet with the Classroom Refresh, which is now really the master planning group. So it could come to that, but usually it would only come to that if they had specific questions, right? So they would have to have a unique question about the standard and whether or not we are currently meeting it, or as they've read it, something is unclear to them and they would like to validate it through documents, data, or conversations with people who work here. But it's a great question. No, people won't be banging down the doors to get into your classrooms or your facilities. Most of those, there'll be workrooms and conference rooms that they'll be using. For the most part, in all honesty, we will be doing the daily operations of the institution while they are visiting us, and you may be a person who works here that you may never know that they're here unless you go to an open forum, which we hope that you do, or to the exit sort of presentation about the quality of the report. Those are two things that you certainly can openly participate in. But in essence, the operation of the institution will go forward on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as planned. There'll be a few of us that will be a little busier with a couple of things, but other than that, there should be no real interruption to your classes or the operations of your offices. If you may be in a situation where they say, hey, we'd like to meet with everybody from financial aid. Okay, great. Well, then that means that we'd have to try and find a common time that we could bring key members from the financial aid staff together and answer whatever question they may have, which means that it is a process like we've described there. You drop everything to do what you can to be accommodating to these accreditors. They may see something in the assessment work and they'd say, gee, we'd really like to learn more about how this is going. And they may ask to see a couple of folks from different departments around what's going on with the assessment or the assessment committee, maybe even. So they may have specific asks like that that we cannot anticipate. But for the most part, we put together a schedule that hopefully will highlight the areas that will most align with what they need for information from the standards. Other questions? Look, everybody's ready. They're all ready. We're all ready for these people to show up. And the report actually references that as well. So if you would join me in giving Arlene and Matthew and Linda a round of applause for an exceptional report and all the preparation they've done. And now what we're asking of you is to do your little part in preparing and getting ready and looking forward to, and Jenna, thank you for you and the executive committee giving us time at FSA for what we hope will be a fun trivia event for NECHE in our preparation. Feels like we've been doing this forever, and I'm sure it does to Linda, Matthew, and Arlene, but I cannot say enough about the remarkable work that they did on the report and the quality of the report. When you read it, you will know it, and you will feel that sense of pride that we often feel about Middlesex and the work that you all do every day. So thank you. Thank you, Linda and Matthew and Arlene. And I think what we'll do now, Beth, is hop on to the second part of this presentation, which will not be anywhere near as entertaining. I don't have the top 10 things that you need to know about the strategic plan, but maybe we'll kind of play that along a little bit. But if it's possible, can we show first the dates of the other critical conversations and open door days? Thank you so much, Caitlin. I really appreciate that. So folks, this is mentioned actually in the NECHE report in a way that we've improved communication across the institution, that you all take the time during our community time, either on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and they're all Tuesdays here now, to do our critical conversations so that we can keep you informed about things that are happening and at the same time not monopolize the FSA meetings that are so important to the critical work that you all do in shared governance for the college. But these are the dates that are coming up for the remainder of this year. The professional staff have really requested that we continue critical conversations through the summer, because even though faculty may not be with us and may be off contract, that the idea is that we want to keep people abreast of what's happening in June, July, and August. So you'll see some additional dates that have been added there. They will always be Tuesday afternoons via Zoom at 2 o'clock. And in October, we're going to get an update about the tremendous work that's been done about the website redesign. And we'll be talking a little bit about sort of our plans for the intranet and how we have some key institutional leaders and from the institution that are going to be really getting us to use what we call the internal part of our website or the intranet to be able to maximize that use. And we're excited about that effort as well. So these are all available to you if you go to the middlesex.edu/president/town hall. You can get future dates, you can register for future dates, and you can get all the recordings of the past critical conversations, because of course everybody would want to see these and live through these once again. But if you miss anything, this is a chance for you to get it. And then the second slide is really to remind everybody about the importance of having opportunity to have access to me on a one-on-one basis through some open door days. We try and control this as much as we can with some asking you to make an appointment in advance, but you can always check with Angela even at the last minute on those particular days if there's some time. If you've got an idea or a thought or a suggestion or a plan or a complaint, I love to hear those, and we usually learn a lot from each other in those conversations. So really appreciate those of you who have participated and filled out a survey. And I know, Arlene, you are also doing these sort of open door day opportunities. You're calling it something else, so what is it?
We're calling it Chat with the Provost. We had my first one in Bedford yesterday. Thank you all for coming, those of you who came yesterday. And I believe my next, I tried to schedule them similar to yours, Phil. I will be in Lowell next month, and I'm just scrolling away to find out which day I am, but we will send out an email about that. And it looks like I will send out an email with the next one. Sorry about that.
Perfect. So again, all you need to do is email Angela, and she'll get you set up for an appointment. You can do this as far in advance as you'd like, and like I said, you can also try at the last minute to see if there's any available time. If you know, it is one of those things that if we have too many drop-ins, we had the experience of having drop-ins and people sort of waiting while other people are staring at them through the window while I'm meeting with them in the president's conference room. So it's probably smart that you do whatever you can to sort of plan that out, but always happy to hear from you, or certainly to receive emails around anything that you might want to talk about. So thank you for sharing this. The most important part of the work that we've done over the last couple of years have been around the work of the strategic plan. And again, that's a document that all of you have written. So if you want to go to the next slide, I want to highlight the fact that you have seen this cover before. You have seen the strategic plan itself. It took even a jump in the time when we were going through COVID to get this to the final plan. And in my final, as I began as president, to make sure that we had a plan in place that guides all of the activity and many of our expenditures for the college. These are priorities that were set by the college as a whole and were confirmed by our board of trustees. And you can scan there here and see the strategic plan, but I also want to show it to you. So if you go to the next slide, this identifies who serves directly on what people may call the president's cabinet, but these are the folks that are working directly with me every Wednesday from 9 to 12 They are part of making sure that the strategic plan is implemented, the plan that you all helped us write, and make sure that they do that effectively. And we spend time on Wednesdays not talking about only about the operations of the college, but also about the strategic plan and the future and the vision of what we will be and what we will do. And so I want to thank my PLC members who are here, and we are going to be doing an assessment in January, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes about where we are with the plan. Next slide. This is really the approach that we've taken, and it came from a conference that I went to, an American Association of Community College conference. I sat through a really amazing presentation by the folks that wrote this book, and they're really from the area out in Purdue, and they have an approach to working on strategic planning that is really far more action oriented, and that has exactly been the case. For those of you who have ever been part of a planning process, and that includes me here or the other 4 institutions that I've worked at, strategic planning oftentimes can be dry, and sometimes strategic plans get put on the shelf and then none of it is ever enacted, or people will go back 3 years afterwards and say, okay, what did we do for this plan that we wrote 3 years ago? That has not been the case with strategic doing. And these books have been available to everyone. There are books available in the library for people to take a look at, but also everyone that's been involved with the Strategic Leadership Council, is what we've called it, have read these 10 skills for agile leadership, and we've been working through those skills to really apply them to the work at the college. Next slide. So you may want to back up one, Caitlin, sorry. So there we go, one more forward, there we go. So each year, what we've done is we've worked with people who have identified connections to the President's Leadership Council. So we've identified other key leaders across the institution who are either connected to the initiatives or people from our own staffs that we want to engage in this conversation, and invited them in to be part of Strategic Leadership Council. And many of you have participated because you've had goal groups that have asked you to do some work. The first year that we started in 22-23, we identified a core list of strategic directions and areas that we were going to do work. And at that time, everyone that started with SLC voted on areas that they wanted to choose to start the work in the first year of the plan. Those areas are noted here. It would be impossible, it's like swallowing the whale whole, to actually try and deal with taking on the entire strategic plan over the course of 5 years all at the same time. But it is about scaffolding this and setting priorities. So each year we set a set of goals and that we start to work with that. And the next slide will show you that in 23-24, we did the same with articulating a set of goals that came from a combination of the President's Leadership Council and my team, and also those involved in SLC to help identify the goals and choose where people wanted to be engaged in the work. And the next slide, we'll talk about the areas that we're going to be working on over the course of 24-25, and I'll show you that again at the end of this presentation because I'm going to make a pitch if there are areas that you are interested in and you would like to engage in this work. We welcome having faculty and staff at all levels involved in the strategic plan and the work that we're doing going forward. The next area, Caitlin, you can turn to the next slide, identifies for you the number of people who were involved in that first year of 22-23, who served as leaders of goal groups or parts of goal groups. So we're not talking about a group of 5 or 6 people here that are implementing a plan. We're talking about a key group of Strategic Leadership Council folks that are critical to this work. And if you recall, at the end of the first year, we did a report out at FSA and at a critical conversation to talk about what accomplishments there were in the 22-23 year. And we go to the next slide. That will begin to make sure that you have a complete set of all of those accomplishments. And so these are available to you. They were presented at FSA. You could probably find them on the FSA website, but they're also available on the college's website, on SLC. that you would be able to see what we've been doing over that first year. And so this is academic year 22-23. And then Caitlin, if you'll just flip through these slides pretty rapidly, this gives you each of those directions with folks who led those areas and some of the work that was done in 22-23 that we've presented on previously in terms of letting you know what kind of areas have we been focused on. And they're all areas that will evolve into what happens the following year. So you have not had a presentation on what has been accomplished this year. So we're going to go a little slower, Caitlin, with this, because I'd like to let people know that this articulates for you over the last year the work that's been done by different areas. And I'm just wondering, I have some folks that are here, some of the leaders. So Maria, I'm wondering if you'd chime in on just one or two major accomplishments from the SLC on the peer support systems and race conscious cohort-based programming, and give a little update on what you see as a couple of the biggest accomplishments this last year.
Sure thing. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So I guess I will highlight a couple. Number 3 in this list is our participation in the AAC&U Virtual Institute. Each year since the Center for Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation was established here at Middlesex, we have been engaging with a campus team that participates in a week-long virtual institute. Each year, we either develop an action plan or refine it. And at the end of June, about 8 of us met and did all of this virtual program, and we revised our annual action plan. These are things that we are already doing, but really we were looking at it with a lens toward capacity building for TRHT activities. And that included all of the recurrent employee and student racial healing circles activities that some of you may have seen through newscasters. We've been promoting those. Some of you have called us to present during your division meetings or to work closely with classes. And related to that is the next one, which is we worked with Deb Walker and some of her faculty to include this as an offering at the end of the IDS summer 2024 cohorts. So that was a pilot program, and it was a collaboration with the IDS leadership and faculty. I'll also highlight the affinity groups. At the end of them, during the middle of or the end of spring 2024, we launched a couple of affinity groups on campus. These are employee focused and are based on identity. One was for our LGBTQ plus community, and the other one was for our BIPOC employees. We are in the middle of developing another one. These are all groups that will contribute toward continued sense of belonging on campus. And I want to encourage everyone who may want to see a group for any particular identity or allyship space that you're part of to reach out to me. We're working with one particular one, and you will be learning more in the future. And I also want to thank everyone who was part of this group. That includes Deb Walker, that includes Leonard, Marielle, Barbara from HR, Sherry in advancement, Noreen, Karen Townsend, Vera, and I hope I'm not forgetting anyone, but if I am, thank you so much.
Thanks, Maria. And next slide. Hey, Caitlin, if we could take a look at strategic direction too. So this has been tremendous work that's gone on for a while now. Judy's been leading a lot of the work around, especially the OER flow and how we look at our schedule. So Judy, if you want to chime in on a couple of your accomplishments that are listed here that you and your group are most proud of, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you, Phil. So the college supported the strategic directions from a budget perspective. So for example, the strategic direction number 2 received $10,000 in funding to fund faculty stipends. So we developed, faculty here at the college developed an additional 11 OER courses. We also developed several micro credentials, 11 to be specific, and we've had over 140 students who have completed their micro credentials. With the help of Chris Fiore, who was on the group, we disaggregated quite a bit of data as it related to student success in a variety of different modalities, such as OER or textbook resources, course resources. such as OER. We looked at Pell students, for example, and their success rate. And what we found is that there is an increased success rate in students who are studying in OER. So it does make a difference when students do not have to pay for textbooks and they have their materials immediately for the first day of class. So the other thing that we looked at was our high flex classroom utilization. And so we're hoping to improve that. So faculty who are interested in teaching in a high flex classroom where you can have students Zoom in if they can't make it to class on a particular day, and or you can be teaching directly to a group of students in the classroom. If you're looking to explore that, please reach out to me. We have training available for faculty in those classrooms to get you familiar with the technology, and programs have found that it's a great way to increase enrollment. For example, our paralegal program uses HighFlex, and they have found that they've attracted students really from all over the state who couldn't have driven to Middlesex to take the paralegal program. But they, with a combination of online and HighFlex offerings, they are able to study here at the college. So think about HighFlex from that perspective as well. We've increased faculty training as it relates to the development of OER. So we have also, there is also an OER ambassador, a student ambassador who works with faculty and students in OER classrooms. We've done quite a bit of work with AAC&U around OER and the development of OER. Tracy Joyce from the library has been the liaison with that particular group of funding. So this was all really a great cross-functional team that included, as I mentioned, Chris Fiore, Tracy Joyce, Matt Olson, Peter Shea, and Francois Descostard, and Camille Brown.
Thanks, Judy.
All of them.
Really appreciate the highlights there from that group that's been working hard. The strategic direction too is really about pathways to student retention and about models of student support around seamless service delivery, which of course is so incredibly important. And Kayla, if you have a couple of areas you'd like to highlight from this area about your achievements from the last year, that would be great.
Of course. So we were able to actually do site visits of one-stops that were really functional, Bunker Hill being one of them. They have high traffic areas. So we looked at some of the practices at some of these high traffic one-stops. We're able to make some signage adjustments, technology improvements. We were able to view some new technology for streamlining our appointment services. We were able to connect with we had the FSA open forum to get some feedback from faculty and staff around some services that would remove some of these barriers. We were able to streamline some forms, some processes, and make some of them a little more transparent. We rolled out the Art of the Warm Handoff service training, and we were able to work with Peter Shea on that. It was an AI developed service training. We were able to work on identifying some key positions that would help the flow of the office. So we're in the process of hiring. We were able to get new technology for students, the student-facing services. You can see these beautiful new computers on the 3rd floor in Cowan, and you can see them in the Enrollment Center at Building 9 in Bedford. And really, the work through this process really helped to streamline and a catalyst for pivoting and making sure that we were being as efficient as we possibly could be, but also really holding to the narrative that, you know, belonging is at the center of all that we do. So we wanted to make sure that we are incorporating that in our work. We are underway, hopefully on ordering and revamping the one stop in Lowell. So the 3rd floor SIC desk is going to be expanding, and the admissions desk is going to be expanding. So those are massive projects underway. The folks on my team, Jonathan Crockett, Jennifer Nguyen, Vanessa Ruiz, Jordina Shaw, Veracchio, Jamie March, and Pramod were really essential, as well as Ellen Ricca in getting this done.
Kayla, thanks so much. A lot of really great work done there, and looking forward to the renovations on the third floor. We can switch to the next slide, and I don't know if Kimberly is with us, but I mean, I think I've spoken in multiple areas just how crazy a year it's been for financial aid, with the changes to the federal form and just the extraordinary work that's been done by this group and by Kimberly Tibbetts and her entire staff about streamlining financial aid at a time when we needed it most. So Kimberly, I don't know if you're on with us today. If you have a couple of highlights, that's great. I don't know how you can even find the time, but if you could give us a couple of highlights about the work that was done, that would be great.
Absolutely. Well, here you see that we did a lot of what we did was the school invested in being able to streamline the financial aid process. We've had to completely overhaul how we award students because of those 3 new last dollar state funds that come from the free community college. And we also have to streamline working with the Massachusetts application for student dates with a state FAFSA, so to speak, for high school completers and students who cannot complete a FAFSA. So we had to really overhaul how we manage students and how we package their aid. We've also done, we did 4 in-person FAFSA completion workshops. I don't know if we have any information about that. I know we had a really good turnout. We had a lot of staff that was really valuable in helping out with those in-person workshops, because what we did is we focused them also for BIPOC and non-English speaking families. So we had staff members there volunteering outside the financial aid office. There were Spanish speaking, Portuguese, they could speak Khmer, and Arabic speakers. So grateful for a lot of that help that we got. And I think that was really a big part of what we did, was really just surviving. So, and it's just an incredible team of people that were helpful. And the ones I really like to highlight as, Jeff Tejada, Sarah Tani Parrish, Barbara Miglio Donovan, and Yarka Salvo. We even had some students who volunteered and created a questionnaire that we're going to be sending out. So we wanted to get it from the students' perspective. And I can never pronounce Mimi's last name because it's just way too long for me. But you know who she is. She's not even part of the team, but she did a lot of work in helping us organize. So I really appreciate that.
It's great, Kimberly. Thanks so much for all that work. And although it seems like it's a shorter area in terms of what was accomplished, this is a massive undertaking, and I know that we're even more so than that 20% FAFSA completion now that we've got free community college. So this has been an area that was really important to really make sure that we paid attention to, and I was just so grateful for all of the work by that team. So thank you for that. And again, a lot of times you'll hear from a lot of these group leaders that people were brought in with their expertise, whether it be students or faculty or staff, to be part of the effort. So again, we thank you for your efforts in really working with this. Is Winnie with us today? If not, I just want to highlight a couple of things on the next slide about the work that was done around career services. And a lot of, many of you participated in surveys or discussions about talking about work readiness and really beginning to lay the foundation for the career integrated learning and the work that needs to happen in the future as we begin to build, learn, and earn into other programs and to learn about best practices and some of that work. But I thank you for those of you who filled out surveys or worked or sat in on workshops with them to really make sure that we had a good, strong foundation for the work that needs to be done in the future around career integrated learning. Next slide. Russell's really, each of the year we focused on a different sort of community partner that's critical to us, or a series of critical community partners. The first year in 22-23, we focused on mass hire and the employment system, and just great outcomes from that, with multiple career fairs happening at the college now thanks to mass hire. And this year there was a lot of work with partner high schools and dual enrollment and Project Learn. So Russ, if you want to highlight a couple of things from your area and your group, that would be terrific.
Thank you very much. This was a great committee with Daniel Sherman, Marie Toupé, Judy Burke, and Shannon Carroll. We spent a fair amount of time mapping out present community engagement efforts that exist at MCC and really looking at both our presence in the Lowell and the kind of greater Bedford area, and found a lot of diverse and interesting projects already underway. We did a survey of our high school and early childhood education partners to look at their views of MCC and their needs that they feel MCC could help with. And we learned a lot about institutions outside of us not knowing a lot about what we do in the range of services and the range of degrees that we offer. And so that was kind of a nice opportunity to educate people about all the different programs that we have and the different certificates and the different opportunities to work with MCC. Then we also did a focus on working with Project Learn and a focus on sort of collaborative grant writing upcoming to really think about grants that maybe each institution would feel less than confident applying for, but putting together a coalition to really apply for collaborative grants. So that was the committee's work. I think this kind of work will continue, and thank you.
Thanks so much, Russ. Really appreciate it. And I think that the last area is really going to be the highlight of our October opportunity for critical conversations. So you can see all the remarkable work that is really institution-wide, but the RAP group has done to really make sure that we have dedicated focus on making sure that our new website has usability, that we have, we've lessened from, the external page of 2,500 to less than 300. The new web design that I'm sure you're all going to love. It is simplicity and its search function. So I hope you'll join us in October to hear more from Beth and that area. So I don't want to steal any of that thunder about that work, but I'd like to take you to the next slide. These are the folks that are going to be working with and are partly identified as the Strategic Leadership Council for academic year 24-25. We've already had our beginning meeting with looking at what goals we would focus on. And again, the President's Leadership Council spent some time looking at what areas of the strategic plan we have not really focused on yet, because there's so much more work to do. So let's look at those goal groups for this year. If we could quickly, Kate, look at the next slide. There's a group of goal groups, that's what we call them, that are going to be working over the course of the year. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of them, and then certainly I want you to reach out to any of the leaders that you see there if you're interested in participating or if you have some expertise you would like to bring to bear. So we're really focusing on the idea of equity audit reviews of department policies and practices. We're really starting to take a cold, hard look, knowing that we've spent a lot more time on data, and with the up and coming RISE metrics that we've created, is how do we make sure that we have equitable outcomes for all of our students, and what policies and practices across the institution may be keeping us from doing that. This is a very big lift. There's a lot of policies and practices and a lot of data for us to look at. So I want to thank Maria and Jamie Marsh for really stepping up to the plate as leaders. So if you would reach out, if you'd like to be involved in any of their work, that's one of the key areas that we're going to be focusing on this year in 24-25. Next slide. We're also going to be talking a great deal about pathways again and student retention, very much focusing this year on strengthening transfer to baccalaureate programs. And this is about equitable transfer. The issue is, how do we work with every transfer partner that is going to give our students the best possible use of reducing their time and their money to get them to a baccalaureate degree? And so this is really about working hard to identify key areas that we're going to focus on transfer, both with UML and with a number of institutions. And you've seen, if you've been watching the paper, we're really working on looking at some private schools and specialization so that students have options with good scholarships and opportunities at the other end. So if you're interested in doing this work, you can certainly reach out now to Russell and Johanka, who are really going to be leading that team. Nick will be joining them when he returns, but it's really an important function of the institution that we make sure that students have as many options and the best options that we can possibly provide. Now that they're saving money through coming to a community college for free, how can they leverage that to make the best transfer decision? We're also going to be spending a lot of time talking about decolonizing the curriculum and creating definitions around decolonization and what that means at a community college and what that means in the curriculum that currently exists and the curriculum of the future. In fact, this will be part of the focus of our fall professional day that's coming up at the end of October. But if you're interested in continuing this work or you have expertise that you'd like to bring to bear, please don't hesitate to reach out to Matthew Olson or Matt Hurwitz, who are going to be leading that group. Next slide. The area that we're also going to be talking a lot about is the idea that grants are such an important part of how we leverage innovation at the institution. It's been critical for us to develop different academic departments, new academic programs, the Office of Career Integrated Learning, all of the work that we're beginning to do with apprenticeship degrees, all the emerging workforce trends. This is about figuring out how we identify funding opportunities and industry partners and nonprofit agencies that can serve as grant partners, because so many times now it is not like we apply for a grant alone, but that we want to do this with our community partners to make it more effective and efficient in the way that we really meet the evolving needs of the workforce of the future. And if you're interested in engaging in any of that work, then certainly Daniel Sherman or Katie Gentili would be happy to have you join them in the work that they're going to be doing, examining how we increase the grant function at the institution. The last area is really composed of two objectives, and that's really all about environmental stewardship, which is really tied to our sustainability, which is our fourth pillar of the strategic plan. We've been focused a lot on financial stability. This is going to really give us an opportunity to maximize the work that we've done with decarbonization and the plans for the future about how we enhance our environmental stewardship and not only take care of our facilities, but our planet in a much larger sense, to make sure that we have efficiencies in conservation, sustainability, how we do that in a way that really provides innovation in our facilities and in our operations about how we do the work that we do every day. And that has to do with the master plan about decommissioning buildings like Bedford House and making sure that we can vacate South Academic to be able to make sure that we do not have and are not using old heating and HVAC systems, and how do we expand some of the work that we need to do in solar and other areas. So it's going to be an exciting opportunity to talk about environmental stewardship that's really going to help us with sustainability of the institution. If you're interested in joining any of that work, and I know that they're working with sort of inform the sustainability committee from FSA, but again, here's a real opportunity for people to step up. Please don't hesitate to be in touch with Allie and Patrick if you're interested in doing that work. For anyone, next slide, that would like to attend any of these SLC council meetings, they're held at the same time every Thursday morning from 10:30 to 12. Even if you can make part of a meeting, you're always welcome to attend. And the actual work of the goal groups doesn't necessarily happen at these meetings. These are more report out opportunities, but each of these different groups has their own meeting times during the month following the strategic doing model to be able to accomplish what they need to. And what I would say is we're talking about approximately 3 hours, 4 hours a month that really have been focused on this work, with time spent at individual committee meetings and then back at these general report outs where we get to hear about the amazing work that's being done. So I'm going to open it up now for any questions or comments that you may have. What's most important is that you know that Middlesex Community College has a strategic plan that is alive, it's vibrant, it is ever changing, and great work has gone on for almost 2.5 years now. And in January, we're going to have a general opportunity to assess where we are halfway through this 5-year plan. But I think you can see through what we've shown you today and what you've seen in the past that tremendous work has already been accomplished. And all of this work is the work of the college. It has been funded and supported by making sure that we have, and even this year, a commitment of up to $1.5 million to work on projects that are related to the strategic plan, so that it isn't a plan that sits on the shelf, but a plan that we can all contribute to and put our best ideas forward. So we welcome your participation. And at this time, I would welcome any questions you may have about anything you've seen. It's a lot to digest. We'll make sure that you can have copies of this and this available. We'll make sure that we have it up on the FSA website as well. But happy to take any of your questions, thoughts around the plan and the work that's been done. Yeah, it's like drinking from a fire hose. A lot of information. But what I'm going to encourage you to do, if you have any follow-up questions specifically, don't hesitate to reach out to any of the people you've seen who have presented today or the people who have been listed that are going to be doing the leadership work for the goals for this year. But I'm going to think if anybody has any questions or if you've had a brewing question about NECHE while we've been going through this information, we're still happy to answer your NECHE questions and your strategic planning questions. Going to use my teacher waiting time. Okay, so it seems like we provided you with a lot of information. I hope that you found it useful. Both of these areas are critical to the future of the college, and so we welcome your participation. We thank you for your participation today. We're always open to your questions, so please, if you have questions about the strategic planning process, don't hesitate to reach out to anyone that you've heard from today or me. And certainly, if it has to do with NECHE and our upcoming plan, you're going to be getting more information from Linda and Matthew and Arlene. And I see somebody has a commercial. Hold on, we got a commercial break. Hold on. Kayla, do you want to do this commercial?
Yes.
Go for it.
I just want to invite everybody to the inaugural Trunk or Treat event happening in Bedford on 10/26, 4 to 7 p.m. Please come, bring your family. It's going to be so fun. There's going to be decorations, dressing up, food trucks. So please RSVP, but we hope you can all come with your family and friends.
You want to take a minute and explain, because it took me a while to understand trunk or treat. If I don't have any small kids anymore, so I'm not exactly sure that, but if you want to say how this works, that'd be great.
Sure. So all the cars line up with their trunks open, and we are doing this in Lot D in Bedford, and folks dress up their car with themes, maybe outer space, maybe superheroes, and then the kids actually walk through and trick or treat at the trunk. So it's a safer alternative to trick or treating. But we're making an entire school event of it. So there will be food trucks and some games for little ones and older adults to play, and some prizes given out for best decorations.
Very cool. And this has all been generated by our own parents and folks here at Middlesex. We're really excited about this first Bedford campus trunk or treat. And if you're just a kid at heart and you want to dress up, maybe you might get some candy that day too. But I want to say thank you again to all of you. I want to especially thank Linda and Matthew and Arlene for their presentation on NECHE and all of their extraordinary work, and everyone that worked on the report. And I want to thank Maria and Judy and Kayla and Kimberly and Russell, who was able to really give you some highlights of some of the amazing work that's gone on with the strategic plan. But if you don't know it by now, Middlesex is an institution that's on the move and accomplishing great things, thanks to the fact that you all work diligently every day. So we'll give you about 45 minutes of your time back. Say thank you very much for attending. And if people missed today's meeting, please encourage them to go to the recording or to ask any questions. But once again, thank you for participating in the critical conversations. This is how we keep everybody informed, and I appreciate your participation. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.